I'm Research Director at the Digital Citizens Alliance.
And I'm Adam Benson. I'm the Deputy Executive Director of the Digital Citizens Alliance.
Now, the Digital Citizen Alliance sounds very important to me. That's a lot of words, it's a lot of people, a lot of meetings. What to do?
Well, we're a nonprofit consumer safety organization. We've tried to build awareness amongst consumers about best practices online, things that they can do to make themselves a little safer, and the activities that are going on in the darkest corners of the internet. I've looked a little bit at remote access Trojans, how they've been spread, and that's something I've done some research on. While my colleague here, Dan, has spent a lot of time on the dark web looking at some of the nefarious websites that we've heard about selling drugs and other kinds of contraband that are quite dangerous.
Now, there's a similar organization we interviewed today. They do something kind of similar. All volunteers in your organization that help do the research?
Well, Dan and I do a lot of it. We have a couple colleagues who work with us. We've brought in a few people to help us here and there, specialists, other organizations, many that we've met here at Black Hat. We find great people and that we talk to, and the information that we get here is astonishing.
Now, are you compiling a library that's available to the public? We can go and do some research and say, hey, I gotta check out Bitcoin. I don't get this Bitcoin thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. If they were to go to our website, DigitalCitizensAlliance.org, they could see a full library of all the reports that we've written, white papers, and as Adam alluded to earlier, we partner with a lot of really high-quality cybersecurity research firms.
Now, do you guys take donations to keep going? Is that how you do it?
We have some generous supporters who've helped us out along the way. So we're good that way, and we always appreciate anybody else who wants to come along and is concerned about cybersecurity.
Now, this is an undertaking of the heart, I can tell, right? You have to love this stuff to go start an organization like that. You got to love this stuff to do interviews for 16 hours a day, all right? So I get that part of it. What motivates you to get this stuff going?
There's been a lot of concern, I think, on our part about intellectual property, about content creators, the kind of materials that they turn out.
Right.
And we've seen that community really get hurt. Real people be affected by what's going on there. And also criminals make a lot of money and find ways to distribute malicious materials through content, movies, television shows, songs, and it's hard to crack down on that. Law enforcement's had a hard time. It's really about building awareness and getting people to
I mean, that's really why I do this show, and I want people to be aware that it's all going to turn very bad one day. And then it's going to start over. It always does, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's get ready for it. Let's not make it that bad. But I find resistance and awareness in the cyber world. People believe it's too complicated, so they go click and it turns off their brain. I am no genius, but my mom didn't raise any dumb kids, okay? But I get this stuff because I pay attention to it, and I say, oh yeah, I kind of get what you're talking about. I better just turn my computer off at night. That solves a lot of problems, right? So who do you find is interested in your organization? Who's getting the research? Who's obtaining your research information? I'm assuming it's, high-level cyber guys, but are the average citizen coming in saying, I want to learn about Bitcoin?
Well,
go ahead.
I think everything that we do research-wise is geared towards the consumer.
Okay,
right?
Good.
Because, like you said, we've taken a kind of ignorance is bliss approach because, like you said, it's very complicated in some ways, so we try and boil it down to that consumer level. And we've seen a lot of success working with policymakers, law enforcement, and others who are interested in this research to make their constituents or those that look to them for guidance in these areas.
And you said you're aware of them.
Yes, I had known about your organization and the great work that you've done. I am curious to know, however, about your user base. Has that expanded from the U.S. To other countries? And if so, could you describe the expansion of the people who are using, downloading the data, or maybe citing your research outside of the United States as well?
For a lot of our research, we've seen it most popular here in the U.S. However, some of the research that Dan's done on the darknet has had some following, has had some people over across the pond, you could say, who've picked up on it and shown interest. And we've heard from them and heard that they are looking at the numbers and the materials that he's come up with and really been interesting to talk with. And we've been happy to pass along what we know and what we've seen doing that along the way.
We've also seen the City of London Police cite our research several times in relation to ad-supported piracy websites.
Now, this is interesting. Can law enforcement use DigitalCitizensAlliance.org? There's your plug right there.
Thank you.
Can they use that as evidence in a case? You know what legal citations in a lawsuit? I'm citing this case. I'm citing this authority. Are you being cited as authority on data and information?
I don't know of a case that we've been cited in yet.
No, no law enforcement cases that I can remember, but we have been cited in at least one book written about the darknet drug marketplace.
See, I could see a cop saying, you know what, I was on Digital Citizens Alliance, I obtained this information, I took that information, compiled my case, and here's the chain of events that unfolded. So you're not solving the case, but you're contributing to an understanding of what happens. Right?
Chuck, if we told you that, we might have to. No, seriously, we haven't had anything like that happen yet. Really, if we're educating consumers and making people aware, parents aware that these darknet marketplaces are out there, and maybe they should check their computers to see where their kids are going. Have they installed something like the Tor browser on their networks? Are they going to illicit or illegal movie sites to download movies?
Yeah.
Because maybe they'll find a cheap free movie there, but they're also more likely to download malware, a lot more likely to download malware. And what we find is when people make those mistakes, they're not exactly inclined to tell others. They worry they committed a crime, they're going to get in trouble.
Right.
So the malware lingers and moves on into their address books, and then friends and families are hit. And that's really a problem. So educating people about how dangerous this is, the ramifications, the fallout, that's something that we've really tried to do.
It also has a big impact on businesses as well. You know, when you're downloading something or you get a malicious software on your device, you know, now you're taking it into the workplace, which we all do, connecting to the network. You know, from there, it's anybody's guess as to what they can do.
You have some good dark web stories, something you found that we should know about that's pretty scary?
Oof, I mean, it's all...
It's all pretty scary?
It's all relative. It's all pretty scary. Dorothy and I were discussing it. You try not to get numb to it, but it's not for the faint of heart. Well, we did lose some Bitcoin when Silk Road went down. We made one purchase, no drugs, nothing illegal. But then when the FBI seized it, we lost about 3 Bitcoin, which would now be about $3,600 that we don't have. At the time, it was only about 300. So
we had somebody comment today on how the dark web is used for communication. I forgot who that was. It was very interesting. What's the research on that? What's going on with the communication way down? How are they communicating?
Well,
explain to the average guy how that works.
Well, I am an average guy in this area specifically, but there's a lot of encryption that they're using to communicate, whether it's PGP keys. That's the popular one on these darknet sites. If you're not using that, they basically tell you to get off because you're going to get them all caught, which has been happening quite a lot lately. So that's definitely important, and there's lots of other tools that they're using as well.
See, now I used PGP back in '96. And it was a big pain to encrypt your emails in our security department at Fox, but we did it anyway, right?
Sure.
You know, we're attributing PGP to the dark web and bad guys in encryption. Right. What if everybody used encryption? There would be no bad guys. They couldn't get any data.
Right.
Right. It's interesting how they know what the best use of the technology is.
So something that we look at a lot with technologies is that it's amoral. It's not good or bad. It's all in the use. There are plenty of fantastic uses of Tor. For whistleblowers, domestic abuse victims, people in countries where they don't enjoy the freedoms that we do of speech. So there's obviously great things, but with those abilities, nefarious actors will take them and do bad things.
Could you speak about the rise in cyberbullying, and in particular, the youth of our country and all around the globe, really? And how have you worked to raise awareness of cyberbullying? You spoke about working with policymakers. I'm particularly interested in your work with Congress, if at all, and if you're not already doing so, what can we do as the broader cybersecurity community to increase the collaboration between your wonderful nonprofit and Congress?
I think in regards to cyberbullying specifically, while we haven't done a report on that per se, we have looked at how computers are slaved, devices are slaved, and often young people are targeted by threat actors who go in and really prey on those individuals. And they do look for people who are young, vulnerable, and harass them. We heard terrible stories from real people about how threat actors, once they got control of computers, would not let friends, family alone from real victims who just had went through real traumas. So there is a need for more awareness on the Hill, state houses. I think state houses, there's a lot of good things going on with people who are doing good things, but it is something, it's a new world that people are trying to catch up on, but it seems like every time somebody figures out something, there's a new step that someone's taken.
Yeah.
It's gone in a different direction that makes it that much more difficult to enforce.
Now, my last question to everybody is always, what keeps you guys awake at night? And I'm going to say probably everything. You're doing research all the time. It's every topic you come across, but anyone in particular stand out?
That is the perfect answer. I think now it's the combination of, we've done a lot of research that's showing how organized all of this is, and it's to make money. And we've seen a lot with the ClearNet or the regular internet that consumers are using on a day-to-day basis. Is kind of like the retail storefront for all the bad things that are happening on the dark net, which is where they're organizing and communicating. So I think that is what keeps me up at night. The ability for actors in places where our government can't necessarily get to them, who are kind of orchestrating these events, and it's going to be tough to stop them. It's
Adam Benson, Dan
huge
Palumbo, Digital Citizens Alliance, DigitalCitizensAlliance.org. I got to slow down a little bit. Thanks for coming on the show, you guys. I'm so glad you contacted me. And anytime you want to come on the show for an update, let me know.
Thank you.
And we'll get you on with your latest research and put it out there for everybody.
Love to do that. Thank
All
you.
right.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Up in a few minutes here on SecurityGuideTV.com, our next interview from Black Hat 2017. We're live. Stand by. Okay, push stop. There we go. Push the stop. Okay.